outrage that I had dared to create a God for myself, worship it, offer animal sacrifice to it, offer children, if it's happening in Madhya Pradesh even today, child sacrifice, even by a father of his own son to get special powers. So where is this God? And there Babuji comes and says, he is in your heart, from where he can do no wrong. Because he is your conscience, and if you obey him, you obey everything. So the ultimate responsibility for our divinity or the divinity that we are seeking is on ourselves. There is no use ranting and raving about religion and saying destroy this religion, destroy that religion, This is divisive, that is corrupt, this is destructive, always killing people. No point. Because they have all been created out of human need, particular to those human beings of those times, hardened into edifices, into idols, in temples, the Zipporah or whatever you call it in Judaism, the cross in the Christian church, which is no less an idol than an idol of a god or goddess in a Hindu temple. Until we recognize that we have created whatever harmful gods, blissful gods, benevolent gods and goddesses there are, religions will continue to flourish because humans will always need one thing or the other for their material existence. If you think at it this way, religion will never end as religion. Therefore, religion can only end for each individual who is able to elevate himself to this idea and concept that I created by God, I don't need him anymore. Now let me find the truth, not God. Because God is truth, God is love, therefore truth is God, truth is love, therefore, they are all three the same. Love is God, God is truth, therefore love is truth. Therefore, Sahajmar can only take up individual by individual for transformation and ultimate realization of the final truth that I am a part of that. I can never be the whole. Therefore, in Sanskrit we say an amsha, a small part. It's like a flame lit from another flame. As Babuji said, if you have one matchstick, you can light 1,000 candles. But with 1,000 candles and no matches, you can do nothing. India has been a land with thousands of saints, rishis, real ones, who have realized this truth, given up worship and gone into tapasya, which is into deepest introspection and meditation to find out what is it, where is it, why is it, and how am I to become that. This is all that spirituality is, you see. And it cannot go without discipline, personal discipline. When we talk of discipline in the mission, we are talking of group discipline. Now, like the truth, group discipline cannot be enforced because there are people with so many needs. One wants cheap food, one wants free food, one wants cheaper books, one wants books in Hindi, one in Urdu, one in Tashkent. So it's impossible to fulfill it. There is a clamor of voices raised for a multiplicity of everything. North Indian wants chapati, South Indian wants rice, Englishman wants toast, cheese, butter. Some health-fad people, they want only nuts. I say you have plenty of it all around you, see. But they don't appreciate the joke unless they're not very hungry. Then they say, yeah, Shri. If they are, they say, well, don't you think you are one too? I said, yes, for being with you, only a nut can be with nuts. You don't expect an orange in a bag of nuts. So we have to handle situations with humor where it is possible, with that little, Gallic shrug, where that is indicated, or just politely walking away. Hardly establishes discipline, never maintains discipline, cannot ever enforce discipline. So, like Sahajmarg as a practice, discipline as a way of life can be only tackled by tackling individuals, making each one disciplined, by making him conscious that without discipline his life has no direction, It's like a driverless car, where it will go, whom it will kill, you don't know. To get this message through individual after individual in an organization which has grown from a few hundred to a few 100,000 today requires the cooperation of preceptors more than abhyasis. Why? Because there is this unfortunate truth in Sahaj Marg, in our mission, that to discipline preceptors is proving much more difficult than to discipline abhyasis. Because they say we are powerful people. Babuji has said, you have the same power that I have. Use it for the welfare of human beings. And Babuji also said, the moment I give them a certificate that they are a preceptor, they hang it on the wall and forget everything else. Look, there have been preceptors who have also said, sit here, you will get transfusion from Babuji's picture. While they went around, bought vegetables, bought wheat for chapatis, fired their wives, and came back and said, that's all. There have been, there still are. And when you try to discipline preceptors, I mean, when I'm talking now of myself, when I try to discipline preceptors, it's indeed very tough. It is like, trying to discipline an undisciplined child of your own. You can't beat it. Mummy says, please, don't beat it. The school says your child needs to be disciplined. Society says he doesn't have a boy, he has a brat. Like McEnroe, John McEnroe. What shall we do? The parents' dilemma is the president's dilemma, is the governor's dilemma, is the president of India's dilemma. We are just a minuscule part of India, and it is a reflection of what India today is. India is rampant with corruption, with indiscipline, with lies, with cheating in any sphere. And the more high you go up on that hierarchy, the worse it is. So you see, often I feel that we need one more avatara to descend. And fittingly, the 10th avatara or the Kalki avatara which you are awaiting is the rod of destruction. Vishnu, of course, but he comes on a raw horse riding, bearing in his hand something between a sword and a scythe, which is used for harvesting, and destroying, and the world is destroyed. You remember what I said a few days back, that when Babuji offered to give me the ultimate power that no human has possessed, I said no. Because he said, why? He was surprised. I said, because I don't have your patience. I will only use that power to destroy this world and recreate a new one. No problem of transforming brick by brick, man by man, goat by goat, And he laughed. And he said, Parthasarthi, when you take up my position as you have to, you will find that you cannot do it, even when you are able to do it. So this is a situation where I am able, but I cannot. Previously, it was a situation where I could not and did not have the ability to. Before that, I had a situation where I could and did. You see how, as you grow higher up the spiritual scale, you get more and more powers with less and less permission to use them, or less and less permission to use less and less of them. Ultimately, you can lose no power at all, but have to do everything with love. So spirituality can also be defined as a way of growing up, where you have ultimate power to do everything that you wish, and slowly that power you still possess, but the permission to use it is getting reduced little by little. And at the end, you have love and no power. And with that love, you have to conquer now. Love conquers all, Babuji said. So have many poets. And I must say, with no degree of surprise either to men or women, that love has not even managed to conquer women yet. So one half of humanity is excluded. This is no disrespect for women. Nor do I imply that men are cowards and cannot do anything. It is because for love to transform, you must have somebody who is willing to be transformed by that love. Isn't it? He says, okay, love me more, let me see how much you can love me. what to do. So we wait patiently, and it does happen. One cannot say it does not happen, because in God's realm, according to the old saying, the mills of God grind slowly but surely. So slowly means patience from our side, surely means action from His side. So it would appear that we have to be patient in the sure knowledge that sometime, somewhere, when He wishes, it will happen. But as a rational human being running a worldly organization with a spiritual purpose, how far are we supposed to be patient? How long are we supposed to be patient? Does patience have a limit? When I asked this question to Babuji, he said, no, patience has no limit. You cannot wait at a bus stand for 5 minutes and be patient and say, I'm patient for heaven's sake. The moment you say, I'm patient for heaven's sake, he said, there you are not patient, you're impatient. You only waited 5 minutes, not patiently. Patience means you don't know the time, you don't know anything. You stand there, no consciousness of space, time. When your bus comes, you get in happily and you go. So you see, it's a big demand that love makes. Patience, faith, love. Your child is misbehaving, patience, faith, love. Your dog has run away, patience, faith, love. Our bingo ran away one day, and everybody was in tears. We telephoned all round. Eventually, 2 days later, a girl appeared and said our dog was in the house. It was standing outside that Amma Nana, near that hotel, in the bus stand, not knowing where to go, perhaps. When this child saw it, and they are dog lovers, she took it home with her. It had no tag on its collar to show who it belonged to or anything. They kept it. Finally, somehow they got together, that house and our house, and Bhargav and Krishna went. And the moment they entered, Bingo stood up and barked. So they accepted that it was our dog and released it to us. Patience, faith. So you see, discipline has to be administered lovingly, faithful to the ideal that discipline must be established. Hopefully that patience will be established, yet in a state of surrender that with His help alone I can do it. Yes, but Chariji, don't you think it is weakness to invoke God into every small thing? For discipline, you see my, Seahawks. You see my Navy SEALs, 2 years. You see what they can do. And you see my, SWAT teams. They will give their life, one order, their life is gone. They don't think. They work like machines. And I say, yeah, that is the problem, you see. They work like machines, they are no more humans. But we want humans to work as humans with a sort of machinistic efficiency. But they have not lost their heart, they have not lost their head. Why? Because Lalaji said, even a guru's orders must be obeyed only if it fulfills 4 cardinal requirements. Oh, discipline must be enforced only with these restrictions? No army has talked about this. Yes, I said, because in armies they cannot speak about this. In armies there is only tyranny, inhumanity, mass killing, murder. You call it mass killing, we call it murder. You call it bombing, we call it annihilation, destruction. You are on the victor's side, therefore you are victorious, everything you did was right. The losing fellow was wrong because he lost. His sin was to lose, your virtue was to win. That is what divides a crime from a successful assault. He said, what are those cardinal requirements without which you will not obey? Does it conform to your religion? Does it obey your scriptures? Does your guru permit? Does your heart, your conscience permit it? If the answer to any one of these is no, you have a right to say, Guruji, I cannot obey this. Not, I will not. It's not a question of willingness. It's a question of can I or should I? Can I? Yes, you can. Should I? No. See, this was a lesson I was taught by my English class master in class 3 of Christ Church, Jabalpur. When a boy said, "Can I go to the bathroom, sir?" He said, "Yes, you can." And the boy went, to the door of the classroom. He said, "Wait. Wait, William." He said, "Yes, sir, I took your permission." He said, "No. You asked me, can I?" I said, "You can, of course, because you have 2 legs, God given, and you can do it. But may you go? You may not. That is permission." So you see, even the requirements of discipline, of obedience, are very characteristic of Sahaj Marg, that you obey under certain circumstances only. If my guru told me, "Go and murder that man, I don't like him," I will say, "Sorry, sir, I can't." "I will punish you with eternity in hell." I said, "Okay, I'm prepared for it. I would choose to have it as a reward for my disobedience, but I cannot have it as a punishment for my sin if I murder that man. My religion doesn't permit it. My scriptures don't permit it. My conscience doesn't permit it. Only my guru wants it. 1 out of 3, sorry." So you see, Sahaj Marg, at every stage, you have these apparent, oppositions of 2 ideas: obedience, love; discipline, love. Rules applied lovingly; food given lovingly; chastise but with love; punish not at all; love him so that he doesn't need punishment. So Sahaj Marg is full of apparent contradictions. And when I asked Babuji in the second year of my Abhyas, "Babuji, everything seems to be in contradiction in your mission," he laughed and said, "Spirituality is the field of opposites." Spirituality without apparent contradiction is not spirituality at all. It is only the material world where you can have absolutes. So it is no wonder that armies can be disciplined, deserters can be shot. A man who has a free fall has to sign, a waiver that if I die, I make no claims on the army. It is permitted. This is man-made law, that is divine law. In divine law, everything with love, everything with compassion, everything with mercy. So you see, although Babuji said, "Establish discipline," I have failed. I have said yes to everybody's yes. I have come under the pressures of, what did I say? Murabat, compulsion, not of love. You don't fall into this trap. I think that, every succeeding generation of spiritual people have always to face this trap, have to fall into it, have to somehow emerge from it victorious within themselves, still perhaps with some degree of failure as far as the satsang is concerned. Why? Because as Babuji Maharaj said, animals, birds, beasts, they respond to love. Human beings, they don't. I said, "But why, Master? Only human beings know what love is. Dogs don't love each other. Cows and bulls don't love each other. Birds don't love each other." He said, "Yet they respond to love." I said, "Why?" He said, they have no selfishness. They have no desire. They respond only to instincts. Therefore, they are free from this